So we're only a few weeks into the restoration of the short wheelbase. Before the car goes for its underside blasting to remove all the original material from the chassis, from the inner panels, we've removed the floors, we've got it back to DK, and we've carried out the metallurgy tests today. And this gives us an opportunity just to really go right into the car and work out exactly what's ahead of us. The car's been used and driven many miles over the years. There was a bit of corrosion on the body. We were always aware there was going to be some rust and rot, as you'd expect of a car this age that's never been restored. But we've actually been stunned by how solid and sound it is and how good the condition of the chassis is. So if we come and have a look at the side here, you can just see where we've exposed and removed the sills. The inner sills are in great condition with that original lattice frame visible, still in its original factory finish there. Really nice to see, and it's the same on both sides. We've got a little bit of repair work to do in the lower arches and the underside of the chassis outriggers, but nothing too major, so we're really pleased with it. Obviously, another thing that we picked up on when we were stripping the car was the aluminium floor pans. This car is, for all intents and purposes, a full competition spec 250 short wheelbase, albeit with a steel body. It had bucket seats, high lift cams, an open air tray, a long range fuel tank, an outside fuel filler, and something that we'd never really thought about or known about, but aluminium floors as well, which are single skinned, so that presents a nice part of the restoration in terms of usually the steel double skinned bulkheads are really difficult to restore and quite often full of corrosion, but we've got single skin here. That also explains why this car was always quite hot. So as part of our restoration, we're going to carry out a few little improvements, nothing too much, but one of the things will be to insulate the interior a little bit better so that when it's used in the summer months, it doesn't overheat. But that really explains why, the single skin aluminium was the reason that it always got so hot in here. And also looking at the roof vent, there's been a bit of speculation that perhaps the roof vent wasn't original to this car because its sister car in 1993 didn't have one. It had one in the rear window, and actually cars after this were produced without a roof vent. But we're pretty sure now that this is the first steel 250 short wheelbase, subject to a bit of further research. But we're pretty sure this is the first steel 250 short wheelbase to have had this desirable roof vent. And it's clearly obvious when we look inside that everything is original. This extra bit was added at the end of the manufacture of the car to stop the rain pouring into the interior, but the initial 1 or 2 inches of this roof vent are part of this roof section and absolutely original. At this stage, we can see all the seams along the front here, along the front of the nose, the tops of the wings, where all the panels were made individually and then welded in sections together to create this body. You've got a weld here, you've got a weld along the top of the wing, you've got a join here, you've got a join across the front of the nose, joins down the middle of the wheel arches. So this panel was made on its own, this panel was made on its own. The same with the roof. You can see the roof was one piece right back to the top of the window and the door frame. And coming back down onto the rear wings, again, we've got this seam along the back here, a seam down the tail, a seam here. So this panel was made on its own, this panel was made on its own, this panel was, and it was joined together as it was assembled. And then the complete body itself was dropped as one piece onto the already assembled chassis frame and inner bodywork. So these body panels here, the inner wheel arches you see here, they would have in fact been in place first. And then this complete body shell or this body skin was dropped onto the frame and then fixed in place with just the simplest of support tubes, braces across the car, and that was it. And it's strange the way in which we restore cars now, as we try to avoid taking the body off, but if we did, we'd actually probably fit or remove, rather, the inner body panels first and refit them last, whereas Ferrari sort of did it the other way around, but yeah, it's great to see that. And so off we go to the next stage. The stripping of all the material from the chassis frame and the inner panels, be it paint and underseal, and then carrying on with all the metalwork, which is another exciting stage and the next stage in this great project.